Hello everyone, and welcome back to Course Crash of the US, the educational show about the history of the US, which is totally and obviously not a bootleg of Crash Course History with John Green. Wait a minute. What gave you the idea of Crash Course History? Because that's... Anyways, today we will be covering the role the US played as world power and the purpose and effects of the open door policy. Let's hop right in. So as we all know, the US played a major role in the 20th century as a world power. But today we will be covering the rise to this power, how the US gained it, and what happened along the way. At the turn of the 20th century is when the US had their role. So we're going to be looking back at 1898 and 1899. During 1898, the current president was William McKinley. As you all may remember, McKinley was not the creator of the open door policy, but instead a supporter of the creator, who was actually, drumroll please, John Hay, the Secretary of State. While the open door policy did have an effect on the rise of power, don't get me wrong, it had a big effect on it, it wasn't the only factor. In 1898, the US won the Spanish-American War. Now this showed the world the militaristic power the US had, and they had a lot of it. While Cuba had wanted their freedom from Spain and the US agreed to help them, the US's main, along with the spread of US imperialism, was the main reason why the US joined in with the war. But how is it seen that the US had imperialistic goals? Well, to end the war, the signing of the Treaty of Paris happened on December 10th, with Spain renouncing all claim to Cuba and with Guam and Puerto Rico ceding to the US. Not only this, but the US also bought sovereignty over the Philippines for $20 million. This clearly shows their imperialistic goals during this war. But that's not all. The US annexed Hawaii, meaning the US had claimed sovereignty over Hawaii, along with further expansion, which obviously led to more power and showing more of the US imperialistic goals. Now, if we add in the open door policy, yeah, we're adding more. The US had a big enough power supply, pretty big, to give themselves the role of world power in the early 20th century. I think it's about time we talk about the open door policy, like we full on cover that before I get ahead of myself. So as I stated before, the actual creator of the policy was John Hay. The intention that Hay had was that all the countries should maintain free and equal access to all of China's coastal ports of trade. Basically meaning that the US wanted to be able to have access to trade and to the markets to then be able to sell things to China and receive the resources the US really wanted. So because the US had the open door policy, the US was able to expand their markets and had access to more resources because of the trade with China. Because every country now had equal access to China's ports and trades, there was no way an international power could control them. But the main reason the open door policy was successful was the industrial goods the US were able to obtain. Because they were able to trade with China and they expanded all of their markets, they now were able to gain more industrial goods, which these goods then cleared paths that lead to the more important things, such as expansion, bigger markets, more machinery, all meaning more business and so on. And with most of these new paths come imperialism and the rise to US power, or, as some may say, the role of world power.